Welcome back. Let's bring in our guest, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, who was a former director at the DSS. Mr. Ejiofor, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Mr. Ejiofor, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, fantastic. I can hear you now. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Very well. You see, morning.
Morning. So, it's almost indescribable what has played out in Kwara State. It didn't just happen. It was clearly planned, orchestrated by these elements who have their own warped idea of what the Islamic faith is all about and are trying to conscript innocent civilians who do not agree with their idea and were literally executed. Killings happen everywhere around the world, but this is becoming one too many. Even in climes where they have conflict, sometimes it's not this bad with civilian population. What's your interpretation?
Well, there are so many reasons for this dastardly act going on within the Northwest, especially in Kwara. Like you said in your intro, the people are trying to force people into the region. It's not just a religious war. It's also connected to political reasons because you know, elections are upcoming, and people try to discredit the government. Besides that, you know, we have this issue of, you know, with the collaboration with the United States to fight this insecurity. I'll describe it as the last kick of a dying horse. You know, the people are frustrated, desperate that government is just. So I think all this put together, it gives rise to all these continuous attacks to show that they are still potent and continue to disturb the peace of the country.
Okay, I wasn't sure whether you were done, Mr. Ejiofor, but the network is not allowing us to hear you quite clearly. Let's talk about the ability of these terrorists to carry out this act unstopped. They're not traced, literally. I don't know how long it took. We're still waiting for the full report. What we may know as preliminary report is what the people who are directly involved or are victims of this incident or the family members of the victims will be able to tell us how long it lasted. How come it's quite easy to carry out this act unabated, unstopped by, you know, maybe the power of the state or the institution of state for the length of time they're able to carry out this act with all the intelligence we have across board?
The explanation I gave earlier in the interview, I said a combination of factors is responsible for this continuous onslaught. It's not that there's no intelligence or that security forces are not working. I said it's the last kick of a dying horse. The people are so desperate, they are very, very frustrated that the Nigerian government is collaborating with the U.S. You recall the attack, the U.S. attack in Sokoto during Christmas, and the latest news that the United States forces have been deployed to Nigeria. So the people are feeling that, well, they have to show that they are still potent, they are still present. Coupled with, you know, election is coming up, all these people are doing what they are doing to discredit the government and make sure that they make government unpopular. And like I said, it's not that lack of intelligence, but you know that these people don't operate, they don't have any, do I put it now, you know, modus operandi. They don't have standard operating procedures like our forces. They just operate at will, and I think by the grace of God, our security forces are trying to contain them.
Right. So I want us to properly situate this, right? Because for a lot of people, they just hear terrorists, bandits. But this was carried out by Boko Haram terrorists. And I think it was a few months ago that a letter was even written to this community, in fact, according to what we hear. So maybe we should understand who is responsible for this, because it's been attributed to a certain group of Boko Haram, and also understand why we're having Boko Haram in Kwara State. For context, what we used to have was Boko Haram in Sambisa Forest, up northeast. So what this means is that they have traveled from the northeast, perhaps through the northwest, and have come all the way to north central. And who knows where is next? We still have the southwest, we have the southeast. So do you have an understanding of who is responsible and how are they able to move in such manner that they're now based in north central Nigeria?
Well, you have eventually answered the question. You know that when the heat was turned on them in the northeast, they migrated to northwest, especially in Zamfara, to Aziz, Kebbi, where they unleashed their mayhem, especially in terms of mass kidnapping. Kaduna was also involved. So from there, they're also moving down south to Kwara, and the possibility, you also heard of some interceptions, of these people coming down the south. So it's a religious war by extremists, not necessarily Muslims, because they're also attacking Muslims. Like this recent one, that most Muslims were killed, that they are not proper adherents. They look at the conventional Muslims as people not practicing the religion. So this all put together are just what is happening to the country. But I believe that with cooperation of the United States and the major offensive, we shall overcome, especially when the election is coming up now. I know that the Boko Haram, one of the governors in democracy, next year we are conducting a general election. The possibility of trying to discredit the government is also there. So I think all hands must be on deck. The citizens must put hands together to see that we overcome this challenge.
But is there enough outrage, Mr. Ejiofor? We're talking about scores of people killed. In other climes, if one person is killed, there is a lot of outrage. Talk more of 10, 20. The government is saying 75. Other reports are saying no, it is 170. The numbers aside, this is something that has been consistent now. So is there enough outrage as a result of this, such that we don't take these things as normal, because it is not normal at all?
It is not a normal situation. When one life is lost, people will be concerned. Talk of 100 and above 100. The outrage, people are expressing their outrage, but I think that's the more they can do. Like we also agree that the primary purpose of government is welfare and security of the people, which government is bound to provide. So the outrage, yes, I agree. People are talking about it, but people should also be involved, in providing necessary information or intelligence for our security forces to work. You recall that some resist them. And more worrisome is the states that are also granting amnesty to this, and they're still operating freely in that area. So we shouldn't treat this thing with people. We should condemn this amnesty given to these people, because first of all, they have not told us what they want. They have not told us their aims and objectives. rather than to destabilize the country. And you are negotiating with them and granting amnesty. It's quite unfortunate, and we should condemn that such state governments should be advised to desist from this engagement, which is not yielding any good results.
Mr. Jofo, let's talk about, because at the end of the day, it's the lives of our citizens, especially, and I like to contextualize it, especially those in the rural areas who don't have the level of protection that we in the urban centers have. The luxury we live around, a lot of policemen, NSCDC, and all that. Sometimes these people, these things happen because they don't have what people in the urban centers have. So what, in your view, how much of self-help is needed here? When I mean self-help, you can define it how you want, whether it's vigilante or, because it's very disturbing that people will be in their homes, in their communities, and they will just be killed mindlessly, whether for economic reasons or for religious reasons, a plethora of reasons, and it's not acceptable.
Government should partially be blamed for this, because I have insisted, and government has also expressed satisfaction, or intention to establish the state police. I continue to emphasize that if we don't establish the state police by amending our constitution, these problems will continue to fester. You see, and the argument is that some states cannot afford it, establishment of state police. What of the states that can afford it? Look at the vigilante. Why don't we formalize all these vigilantes set up in one name of task force or the other, that people are, virtually all the states have their own state police in the name of one task force or one group like that. So why don't you formalize it? Like I've always said, the Nigerian police, no matter how effective they are, cannot contain the security challenges in our country because of the centralization. If you look at people who are not conversant with the area, they are posted to that area. And the citizens are also ready to cooperate. There's language barrier, there's religious differences, there are cultural differences. But if you establish the state police and the people are drawn from within the area, it has a lot of advantages, and they know all this area. Take Zamfara, for instance, all the people operating there are known, but it's difficult to take action because of certain engagement on their part. So I think the best way to go before the next election is that the Nigerian government should go ahead and establish the state police. That's the way to go. Even though some people have some reservations that it will be abused. And I say, as we speak, excuse me, as we speak, the Nigerian police is not being abused. The president has given directive that the men be withdrawn so that we have more men. How much of this has been done so that we have more boots on ground? So these are challenges that we must face.
Mr. Jofo, thank you so much for coming on the program. We hope that we don't record this. And when we say these things, I'm literally praying in my heart. But somewhere in my heart, I'm also worried maybe again. But this is one too many. Mr. Mike Jofo is a former director at the DSS. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right, Kylie.